All right, welcome to Issues and Interviews with Kira Michael Lawler on the Hudson Power Broker YouTube channel. Welcome back. Do you like this content? Do you like these videos? Do you like issues and interviews? And do you like politics with powers? Great show is there. If you like it, do me a favor, take a second, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need subscribers. No one else is giving you conservative Republican content. Nobody else is covering the candidates we're covering, the issues we're covering, the way we're covering it. So if you like this unique content, you got to subscribe. Help us out. Help yourself out. What a difference 19 years has made. What has changed in the last 19 years? I remember 2001, after 9/11, the Yankees and the Mets took the field wearing NYPD hats. After 9/11, the two major league teams here in New York played games and took the field with NYPD hats to support the men and women of the NYPD in the aftermath of 9/11, to honor their service, to honor the sacrifice of those who ran into the buildings to save the lives of perfect strangers. They were saluting the police. They were recognizing their incredible service on a daily basis and in an incredible way on September the 11th. 19 years later, the Major League Baseball season finally started last night. First game of the season, the New York Yankees playing in Washington, D.C. against the Washington Nationals. You know what they do? They take a knee before the game. Every player on every team knelt down and they held some kind of a black robe thing around the infield. I'll give them a little credit. They didn't kneel during the national anthem, which would have been worse, but they took a knee. And the reason they took the knee was they're claiming, as many lefties are, many celebrities, many gutless corporations are, that they're protesting systematic racism here in the United States of America in general, and the systematic racist brutality of our police officers in New York City and elsewhere around the country. That's what they say they were. That's what they say they're protesting. Every single player on both squads last night, and other teams are doing it too. But last night happened to be a marquee matchup. His first game of the season. Two big teams. And I got a question. I got a question for those claiming systematic racism here in the United States of America. Would a systematically racist country just 12 years ago elect a junior senator president of the United States over a bona fide war hero? I mean, John McCain lost that election. He was a war hero. He was experienced. He had sacrificed so much for this country. But the country was probably voting race neutrally, wasn't really caring about race, and they elected the younger, less experienced because he had a better message. Frankly, he ran a better campaign. He had a better message. And they reelected that same Black American, Barack Obama, a second time over a very highly qualified candidate, governor of Massachusetts, businessman. So it doesn't seem like it's a real systematically racist country when you had that in the last 8 and 12 years. And you know how many black millionaires there are in America? You know how many black millionaires this systematically racist country has produced? 800,000. There's almost 1 million black millionaires in this country. Every single Major League Baseball player is likely to be a millionaire. I think the minimum salary is $500,000. So if you play 2 years, you've made $1 million. You might not have a net worth yet of $1 million, but most of them make multiple millions of dollars each and every year. And that was only part of the protest. And that kneeling was benign compared to what I'm going to discuss next. Behind the mound at National Stadium down in Washington, D.C. was stenciled the Major League Baseball logo, kind of the silhouette of a baseball player, combined with the BLM, Black Lives Matter logo on the field, on the playing surface. The same Major League Baseball who last year wouldn't let Mets player Pete Alonso wear a little 9/11 decal on his hat when they were playing on September 11th, on the September 11th anniversary, said, yeah, no problem. We're just going to change the playing field and put a political organization's logo combined with our corporate logo right on the playing surface, right behind the mound, so it could be seen on TV, seen all around the world. Why is Major League Baseball getting involved with a political organization? And it's not just a political organization, not just like some group who wants some political change, Mothers Against Drunk Driving or the Red Cross or any of these other benign groups. This is a radical political organization. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist political organization. And it's kind of funny because the billionaires who own the teams and the millionaires who play for the teams are essentially carrying water for a Marxist organization. Marxists want to redistribute wealth. So all that MLB wealth on those players who are kneeling, on the owners who are encouraging it, in a Marxist regime like BLM is pushing for, all that money is being redistributed away from those owners and those players. So kind of a self-defeating and ironic twist on what was going on last night in Washington, D.C. in the first Major League Baseball game of the year. BLM, Black Lives Matter, is not only Marxist, they're militantly anti-law enforcement. Much of the violence, much of the unrest, much of the violence against police officers going on over the last 8 weeks is driven either by the operational support or the ideological support of Black Lives Matter. It's a fact. It's a fact that they don't even hide, and it's all based on a lie. Look at the statistics. Look at the statistics on fatal shootings between citizens and police officers. Black Lives Matter's underlying claim is that the police are targeting African Americans and killing them. Hunting them is sometimes one of the words that's described. Not true. Statistically untrue. Common sense tells you it's not true. If you look at the numbers, first of all, deadly interactions between police officers, more white people are killed in those situations. Number two, even if you adjust for the size of the population that Black Americans make up, yes, there are more. If you adjust for population, more Black Americans are killed in confrontations with police officers than white based on their population. However, if you adjust it for what really matters, the number of confrontations between police officers and a certain demographic group, there is no racial disparity. Harvard University economist Roland Fryer studied this. He wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal the other day. And he said this: no matter how we analyze the data, we found no racial differences in shootings overall in any city in particular or in any subset of the data. So this whole movement, Black Lives Matter movement, the violence in the streets, the corporations taking sides in this, Major League Baseball kneeling down, is based on a lie. It is based on a lie. Basically, what the statistics say, if you don't commit crimes, and if you do commit a crime and resist arrest, that's where you have a problem. So if we can avoid those kind of confrontations, reduce crime, first of all, don't commit crimes. But even if you do commit a crime, don't resist arrest. And your odds of being a fatality in an interaction with police officers are reduced to almost nothing. And actually, two bills were put forth yesterday in the New York State legislature. Democrats who claim to care about saving lives and protecting people and reducing these kind of deadly confrontations killed those bills. One bill said it would be a hate crime to attack a law enforcement officer because of his status as a law enforcement officer. Think if that came into the law. That would discourage people from attacking police officers. Often, when there's a deadly interaction between a police officer and a citizen, it's because the police officer was attacked. If you had some legislation which reduced the number of attacks on police officers, you'd reduce the number of times a police officer has to use deadly force. The second bill made it a felony to resist arrest. It's not a felony in New York State to resist arrest. If it was a more serious crime with a bigger punishment to resist arrest, you'd have less resisting of arrest. Fewer people resisting arrest, fewer people in deadly confrontations with law enforcement officers. But Democrats killed those bills. Would those bills have solved everything? No, I don't think they would solve everything, but it would be a step in the right direction. It would help. It would reduce the number of times a law enforcement officer has to make that split second life or death decision to decide is his life in jeopardy and does he have to use deadly force. It would have helped, but it was killed. And it was killed. Those bills were killed because I don't think the Democrats really want to solve a problem. Which brings me to this. What problem did the players kneeling yesterday solve? Did they solve this problem? Does kneeling solve the problem? Actually, it's worse than not solving the problem. It actually creates more of a problem. If you perpetuate the myth that law enforcement officers in this systematically racist country are targeting Black people for murder, for execution, as Black Lives Matter does, and whether the players yesterday said this or not, and I don't think they did actually say this, they are carrying water for this organization that believes that. If you believe that lie and believe that myth, and you make things more difficult on police officers, and you make people fearful of police officers, you're going to have police officers who are reactionary. They're not going to be proactively fighting crime and stopping crime before the crime is committed. They're going to basically be note takers. A victim, someone is victimized, and a police officer goes and takes the report, and hopefully after the fact they can they can solve the crime and find the bad guy, but they are not going to prevent crime. So the people taking a knee yesterday, rich baseball players of all from all countries, from all different races, pretty much all millionaires, they all took a knee thinking that they were going to stand up for black communities, but they're actually making black communities less safe. They're actually making poor communities and communities that are made up largely of people of color less safe, because when you don't side with the police, when you perpetuate lies against police officers, when you make it more difficult and more dangerous for a police officer to do his job or her job, when you tell them you're taking not only your life in your hands, but your career and your reputation in your hands, when you act proactively as a police officer, you hurt the very people you're claiming to help. So not only did this taking knee not solve a problem last night, it actually exacerbates the very problem that we're talking about in one of the big ironies. And here's the other thing, specific to the Yankees. I love the Yankees. I love Aaron Judge. My kids love Aaron Judge. We have probably 20 Aaron Judge jerseys running around. No kid ever wore 99 on a baseball uniform in Little League until 3 or 4 years ago when Aaron Judge came out with number 99. Now every kid wants to be 99. Okay, he's an icon. He's a star. But the whole Yankee organization, from general manager Brian Cashman to the field manager Aaron Boone to superstar Aaron Judge, they all defended the kneeling, saying, "This is America. Free speech, free expression is one of our founding ideals." And that is true. That is one of our founding ideals. But the irony is, you are carrying the water. You are perpetuating the lie of a Marxist organization that does not believe in the First Amendment, that does not believe in free speech and free expression. Quite the opposite. I mean, the other big issue we're talking about now is cancel culture. The hard left, the BLM crowd, the Marxist crowd, if you say something that they construe as unacceptable to them, as politically incorrect, or they twist it into something racial, even when it's not, they try to destroy you. They try to destroy your reputation. They try to destroy your career. They try to destroy your livelihood and your family, and in some cases, physically destroy your property and your business. And I've seen it locally here in the last week. People who attended a Back the Blue rally locally here in Dutchess County are being targeted by activists, Marxists, Antifa, BLM types. They're trying to destroy their livelihoods. They're trying to destroy their ability to make a living. They're intimidating them. They're chilling their free speech and free expression right here locally. This isn't something that's happening far away. This is happening right now. So for the New York Yankees, the top people in the New York Yankees, from ownership to management to the star player, to wrap themselves in the American flag and free speech by saying they're taking a knee and joining with Black Lives Matter with their logo written on the field, and they're standing up for free speech. You are not. You are joined with an organization that is the enemy of free speech, that is the enemy of free expression, that is the enemy of freedom as we know it in general. So it's a huge mistake. Huge mistake, Yankees. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. I love baseball, but I love my country. I love my community much more than I love baseball. And I'm so disappointed that the baseball, the team, the sport, the players, the organization that I love are doing things to hurt our country, all based on a radical lie. Some of them may be being misled. Some of them are being intimidated, but it's a huge mistake. But I don't like to be all negative, and I don't want to end this show on a sour note, because the president, love him or hate him, he did something great to kick off the beginning of the baseball season. He brought in some little leaguers in their uniforms, and they're all warming up, throwing, having a catch on the White House lawn in their uniforms on a beautiful summer day. It was pretty awesome. And then the president, showman that he is, brought in Mariano Rivera, the closer, the Hall of Fame Yankee, great pitcher, Panamanian immigrant, American patriot. He's on the White House lawn. You have Trump and Mariano having a catch, and all these little leaguers in their uniforms having a catch. And Trump and Mariano are talking about Yankees baseball and George Steinbrenner and how much baseball means to the country. So there's your positive note. Take a look at a quick clip of the White House lawn from yesterday. It's so good for the president and such a positive, happy thing. I don't think the press is going to cover it enough, but we're covering it on Hudson Power Broker. Subscribe to Hudson Power Broker. Tune in to all our awesome shows, Issues and Interviews with Kieran Lawler and Politics with Powers. Share this on your social media. Get the word out. Thanks for listening.